Okay, let's try this question, see if we can do it first as simply as possible. We've got 4 options in our multiple choice here. We're not allowed to use the calculator, so that its special angles are more likely to be part of it. In fact, they are what's gonna give us the answers, to be able to look at things. And so what I mean, 30, 60, 45, stuff like that. So how could we get a min and max out of the difference of these two functions here, cosine theta and root sine theta? Well, 90 degrees would make this root 3 is bigger than 1. If I put minus 90 degrees here, that would make this negative 1 times negative root 3. That gives me the square root of 3. The cosine is 90, 0, but that would give me a nice maximum of root 3 minus 90. So the minimum, because we know it's a wave function, so if the maximum's root 3, it makes sense that the minimum's negative root 3, and that would give you 2 root 3. So it's definitely C and B are out, because we know this we don't know that this is the maximum, this is a minimum, but we know that the spread gives you at least this. We need to look for maybe you might have the answer right here at D. Maybe there's some other answers. Well, if you try minus 30 degrees and put it in here and use your special angles, you'll get 0. Minus 30 is where they where they'll equal each other. But well, let's just try minus 60. The cosine of minus 60 is a half. The sine of minus 60 is root 3 over 2. That's 3 over 2 plus, a maximum of 2. That would make the minimum of minus 2, and that would make this one work. 4. Well, that's the way you can do it without using a lot of complicated stuff. If you sketch the graphs and took a look at it, the green graph would be cosine. The red graph would be sine, upside down, but a little bit bigger up there, root 3, 1.6. When you subtract them, you get this blue function. But how would you know that? I cheated and used GeoGebra, and I can see, hey, minus 60 and 2, 120. That's true. There's another way, so you're not allowed to cheat and look into GeoGebra, but we do have the theory to do this. We can change this cosine and sine thing into a function of cosine of x minus theta. If you do that, and you use the root 3 and the 1 in front of here, you can solve for r and you can get the amplitude of this new function as a function of cosine. And it turns out that r is, you've got 1 here and root 3 minus root 3 squared, and you add it together and take the square root. It always works. That's what the amplitude of the new function is. And it's equal to 2. You can go through this whole process slowly, and you'll see that it really is true. It's just using the identity, the cosine difference identity that we learned, but holy cow, that's a lot of stuff. You can get at the right answer just by using the special angles that you know. But that question seemed pretty hard.